It's the end of the Jerry Jacobs era in Detroit.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's good, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It is another episode of Locked On Lions right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day on a Wednesday, March 6th into Thursday, March 7th. Thanks for making us your first listen and checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. That includes, please subscribe and watch us for free on our Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, Matt Dery Facebook fan page. And again, we appreciate all of you. Shout out to our everydayers who are out there. How about today? I went to a business lunch in beautiful downtown Birmingham, was walking through the parking structure, saw this guy, Brandon, came at me. He was picking up some food and had a beard. He says, Matt Dery, I'm a big fan. So shout out to the bearded Brandon in Birmingham, one of our everydayers who we appreciate all of you checking us out daily here on the pod. Coming up today, the Lions say goodbye to a starter, really, for the last couple of years in Jerry Jacobs. He is no longer going to be with the team. Jeff Risdon from the Lions Wire, he writes, he thinks the Lions are going a certain position with their first draft pick. We will tell you about what Jeff had to say coming up. The Zack Ertz era is over in Detroit, and we've got a visit, an official visit, one of the first Lions pre-draft visits that they are allotted. Happened today. We'll tell you about that. All of that coming up today here on Locked On Lions. Our broadcast today brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. All right, I'm going to tell a little story here. The Detroit Lions, a couple of years ago, maybe even last year when they won 9 games, it was cute, right? Lions were coming on. They started off 1-6. Yours truly threatened to end the podcast, all this stuff. Then they went like gangbusters at the end of the year and finished 9-8, and it was cute. It was a nice story, right? The Lions were that cute little K car or the Volkswagen Bug or whatever that drove on the streets and said, "Oh man, that's a cute car. That's cute." All right, the Lions were the little girl with pigtails. All right. For the last year at the start of this past season. And even to an extent during part of this season, the Lions story was cute because it was a 3-win team from a couple years ago. Dan Campbell, they won 9 games. Didn't make the playoffs though. And now can they take the next step? And they started winning these games and they started playing really well. And they won on opening night and they beat the Chiefs. And a lot of Lion fans got all upset because Mike Tirico, we've had on the podcast many times, made kind of a statement about maybe there should be an asterisk there, and everybody got upset. It was like a cute story. All right. Until the end of this season, when the Lions won the division for the first time in 32 years, or 30 years, they won 2 playoff games. It's not cute anymore. Now it's business. All right. The Lions are the Ferrari now. The Lions are a BMW, no longer a Volkswagen Bug. The Lions, the pigtails are gone. The Lions now, they got long hair, straight hair. They're showing off their body. They're the belle of the ball now. They feel like, they're the homecoming king or queen. They feel like we are a Super Bowl type of team. So when you have those expectations, when it's no longer a cute story and now it's a sustainable process, now it's a sustainable, opportunity, a sustainable franchise that wants to win and wants to win back-to-back divisions, wants to get to the Super Bowl. Brian Gutekunst from the Green Bay Packers. We don't hang division banners. Well, the Lions don't want to hang a division banner next year. They do. But they want to hang a big banner too. And when you want to take that next step from cute and adorable and hardworking and we're gritty and we're going to make grit t-shirts and grit hats, You start to upgrade talent. And that's what this organization is doing. And today, they're making a statement. Now, I'm not saying that not offering a contract to Jerry Jacobs is some huge deal. But Jerry Jacobs, for the last 3 years, started for the Lions. Think about that. Undrafted rookie in 2021, got an opportunity by Brad Holmes, made the most of it. By 2022, he was like a starter at corner, a guy you relied upon. Last year, Emmanuel Moseley goes down injured or is coming back from injury. Jerry Jacobs was a starter at the start of the year. Remember the Green Bay game in week 4? Jerry Jacobs had not one but 2 interceptions of Jordan Love on national television as the Lions went into Lambeau Field and knocked off the Packers. Jerry Jacobs was not offered a contract today by the Lions. He's a restricted free agent, and they didn't tender him an offer. Why? Because they want to do better. They want to upgrade. Jerry Jacobs is 26 years old. He's a fine football player. He's fine. He's a solid 3rd, 4th cornerback. But on this team, on the cute team, Jerry Jacobs, he gave it the old college try. He was tough. He was gritty. He was decent. But this team wants to upgrade. They don't want decent or cute. Jacobs posted on his Twitter this morning, forever thankful for Detroit. I swear, giving a kid from Atlanta, GA, a chance at the biggest stage of football, I would never forget. Thank you for letting a kid from Atlanta, GA, shine. I will always cherish that city. You helped me become my dream. Forever grateful, Jerry Jacobs. @_ LUH Jerry, LeJerry. Grateful. Thanks for giving a kid a chance. But the Lions want to do better. And you can't blame them. Maybe they'll take a cornerback at 29. Maybe they'll go out and sign a couple of veteran free agent cornerbacks. Maybe they'll trade for L'Jarius Sneed. All right? It's not going to be Jameson Williams like we talked about, but maybe they go for the home run. Jerry Jacobs was a solid single up the middle. Sneed would be swinging for the fences. All right? Jerry Jacobs filled his role beautifully. He was a guy that Brad Holmes found off the scrap heap, and for 3 years, he gave the Lions some really good football. He did. But you want to be a BMW, you want to be that Mercedes, you want to park valet, all right? You're going to get legitimate talent at cornerback. Last year, the Lions went out and signed Cam Sutton and gave him a 3-year, $33 million deal. Cam Sutton is a really, really good football player who had a really bad second half this year. I don't know if it was that hamstring thing or what, but Cam Sutton looked really, really good at the start of the year. Then his game tailed off a bit. He's a good number 2, and the Lions are paying him like that. But now it's time to go out and either draft or sign upgrades. Emmanuel Moseley's back. That's good. Brian Branch is back. Great. Branch is awesome. You got Sutton coming back. Hopefully he bounces back and plays like the September and October Cameron Sutton. But the Lions are not going to just bring the band back because the band played pretty well together and won a bronze medal. No. They want to put together a gold medal winning band. They want to put a headliner together. And so while we all like number 23, Jerry Jacobs, time to move on and upgrade and get better at that position. This is just like with the coaching staff. Dre Bly, great job. Nice, did well. Gone. Deshae Townsend, we feel we can upgrade. We feel we can make a run at the NFC and not just win the NFC North, not just win a couple of playoff games. We want to win the whole damn thing. Dre Bly had to go. They're bringing in Deshae Townsend to upgrade at that spot. Same with the D-line coach and Terrence Williams. And, coming in. They feel like they could be needing to upgrade at that spot. And that's what they're going to do. So, Terrell Williams or Terrell Williams. You got to give him credit for that. I like this approach the Lions are having. All right. What about an offensive lineman at 29? We all think it's going to be cornerback. It might not be. One Lions writer believes the first pick the Lions select is going to be an offensive lineman. Who could be the options when it comes to that stuff? We'll discuss coming up next right here on a Wednesday, Locked On Lions.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now you can go and shoot your shot with Locked On's official sports betting partners over at FanDuel with the NBA season underway. Right now, new customers will get $150 in bonus bets by simply winning any $5 bet. Doesn't matter if the odds are overwhelmingly in your favor. If with your first bet you put $5 down and win, that's $150 your way just for winning that $5 bet. Yeah, it's like 30-1 odds. It's awesome. So you can put that in on a bunch of stuff with the NBA. You also check out NFL draft odds as well. Who's going to be the #1 overall pick, the #2 overall selection, all of that. You can check all that out. Plus quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and much more. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Matt Dery back with you on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. If you missed yesterday's show, Trevor Sycamore was with us from Pro Football Focus. He was incredible. All right, as good a guest as we've had. I know Gavin Hansen, one of our everydayers on Twitter, hit me up, said he loves when Trevor Sycamore comes on the show. It's his favorite guest. So if you missed yesterday's show, please go back and check that out with Trevor from Pro Football Focus, all about the combine and what he foresees for the Lions. All right, so I read a very interesting article at the Lions Wire. We always talk about Pride of Detroit. Lions Wire is really good too. Jeff Risdon does a great job at lionswire.com, lionswire.usatoday.com. And he wrote a 6 takeaways from the combine piece. And JR said that he believes the Lions' first pick may not necessarily be at number 29. They may draft and move up. They may move back like they did last year when they got Brian Branch, when they got Jahmyr Gibbs, and even Hendon Hooker traded down to make those things happen. Up and down. Of course, they moved up to get Brian Branch, but you know what I'm talking about. So he believes, don't hold your breath at the Lions drafting at 29. Maybe they move up to get somebody. Maybe they move back and accumulate picks. But one thing that Jeff said from talking to a lot of people at the combine is that he's hearing, and this is just one man's opinion, but I'm interested in what Jeff thinks. He's a good reporter. He believes that the Lions' first pick, whether it's at 29 or 20 or 32 or 35, whatever they do, is going to be an offensive lineman. And you look up and you say, well, the way the Lions are built and the way Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have built this thing, they don't want to just be chucking offensive linemen, just throwing them into the lineup, that they really put a lot of thought into it. And you need depth. This past year, Taylor Decker got hurt. Sewell had to move over. Jackson missed games. Ragnow missed games. Glasgow had to move over to center. You had Sorsdahl out there. You had Dan Skipper out there. You had Owashika out there. The Lions had to move a lot of different parts around. A couple of years ago, Matt Nelson had to play a lot. The Lions want to have depth along the offensive line. That's number one. Number two, the Lions might lose both of their starting guards to free agency. It's possible that on Monday, somebody signs Graham Glasgow, not name the Lions. I think the Lions are going to keep him. I do. But Jonah Jackson could command money that the Lions don't feel they need to be spending. Jonah is a solid left guard. He's made Pro Bowls. Didn't have a great year this year. And maybe now that the salary cap is raised, somebody will overpay for Jonah Jackson. And the Lions will say, we'll wait, maybe pick up a veteran offensive lineman in free agency, or, because there's a lot of them, or draft one at number 29. So I don't necessarily disagree with Jeff, and I think he definitely has a good point here when he makes it about what the Lions might end up doing. Well, who would be there at number 29? Well, for some of you to say, take Joe Alt. Joe Alt from Notre Dame is the best offensive lineman in this draft. He's not going to be there at 29. All right. But who might be there at 29? Here's two names you've already heard. Number one, the BYU tackle, Kingsley Suamataia. We talked about him the other day. cousins with Penei Sewell. All right. Versatile and might be able to move from tackle to guard and move right in there. Lions have done it before with Halapoulivaati Vaitai. They could do it with Sua Mataya. That's a name to watch. Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, the guard. I know Mike Valeni on 97 on the ticket says if there's one guy that typifies Detroit, that looks like a Lion, that plays like a Lion, bearded guy, tough guy, 4-year starter, Kansas State, mean, nasty. It's Cooper Beebe, who's a guard from KSU. Tough son of a gun, right? That fits the Lions profile. Troy Fatanu from Washington, who's a tackle, is somebody that everybody feels will be a top 20 pick. A winner, right? Played for Kalen DeBoer at Washington. Of course, Washington made it to the college football playoff before losing to Michigan, all of that stuff. That's another name to watch. J.C. Latham, all right, tackle at Bama, also some versatility, could move into the guard spot and play there to start his career. J.C. Latham is a really good football player and also regarded as somebody that is going to be a first-round pick. All right, so that's a name to think about. Amarius Mims from Georgia, another SEC player, another tackle. Seems like I'm mentioning all tackles here, but hey, look, a lot of times these guards in college just don't have the arms and don't have the movement to be able to shuffle their feet and move outside. But these tackles moving inside have been done before. Amarius Mims is a monster. All right, a very good football player. And then there's one more that I think fits the Lions, similar to Beebe from Kansas State, and that is Graham Barton out of Duke. Many feel he could play tackle, he could play guard. You could put Graham Barton anywhere. And I've read 2 or 3 mock drafts, and I've read some stuff on Graham Barton where everybody calls him a mauler. Isn't a mauler what they called Frank Ragnow when he came out? Right? Penei Sewell. So Graham Barton is another name to watch. So those are, what did I give you? I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gave you 6 names. All right. And I'm not including Joe Alt. Joe Alt will not be there. All right. Unless the Lions move into the top 10 and love this guy, Joe Alt is going to be a starting left tackle in the NFL or right tackle right away. He's like a Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell type. You're not moving him to guard. And the Lions, as of right now, Taylor Decker's your left tackle and Penei Sewell's your right tackle. Why would you mess with it? But if they need a left guard, those are some names to watch. And the idea of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell and the crew getting an offensive lineman at 29 fits the bill. You never can go, it's almost like you can never go wrong as long as you pick the right one. And this organization, even going back to the previous regime, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but the maestro, Bob Quinn, drafted Frank Ragnow, drafted Graham Glasgow, believe drafted Taylor Decker. Or was Taylor Decker drafted by Mayhew and them? The Lions have had nice success regardless of regime. I know Quinn drafted Jonah Jackson. All right. Obviously, Brad Holmes drafted Penei Sewell and Colby Sorsdahl. My point is the Lions have done nicely with offensive linemen. I mean, Frank Ragnow is a stud. Penei Sewell is amazing. Glasgow was a good pick. Jackson was a good pick. Decker was a good pick. If you find the right one, you stick him in there on that offensive line and you win football games. If they can block and maul and run block and pass block. So I like where Jeff Risden's going here with offensive line would not surprise me. And again, at this time next week, we'll know if Jonah Jackson's back or not. We would think. And it might be slow for him because there's a lot of guards ahead of him. Remember, we went through the Pro Football Focus top 100 free agents, and Jonah Jackson was like 91st. There were a lot of offensive linemen ahead of him. We'll see how the market plays out, but if he signs elsewhere, that would open up certainly an opportunity at number 29 for the Lions to draft his replacement. Zack Ertz, Lions legend. Actually not, but you know what I'm talking about. Zack Ertz was on the Lions for like a week and a half, and fans were waiting for him to be activated and to play against the Niners in the NFC Championship game, the multi-time Pro Bowl tight end. Today, he signs a 1-year reported $5 million deal, because he was a free agent. He's on the Lions practice squad. They didn't offer him a contract, at least a contract to be on the regular roster. So that made him an unrestricted free agent. And he signs with the Washington Commanders today to get back into it at age 35 with Washington for 1 year at $5 million. Now remember, Cliff Kingsbury, who is his head coach with the Cardinals, is the Commanders' new offensive coordinator. So he reunites with Kingsbury. So Zack Ertz is gone. There are some Lions fans already in my mentions. So, how can we not keep? Lions have plenty of tight ends. Sam Laporta, James Mitchell, Shane Zylstra, Brock Wright, who they could re-sign as restricted, and Anthony Firkser, who they like. So the Lions have plenty of options at tight end. I would have loved to have seen Ertz play in that title game. Would have been certainly interesting to watch him play for the Lions, but good by his agent getting him a 1 year, $5 million deal and going to a place in Washington where he'll play a lot more than he would play here in Detroit, especially with Sam Laporta, just an all-everything tight end with the Leos. So the Zack Ertz era, yes, is over here in Detroit. All right, pre-draft visit number 1 for the Lions when it comes to college prospects happened today. We'll tell you about that coming up next right here on Locked On Lions. And Locked On Lions brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors, they've got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive with our friends at eBay Motors at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, so as many of you know, the Lions get 30 official pre-draft visits from college prospects that will go on now up until the draft. And today, according to his agent, Northern Iowa defensive tackle Christian Boyd is the first of the 30 official visits as he makes the trip to Allen Park. Boyd reportedly making several visits as he hopes to become the highest drafted player not invited to the Combine in 2024. So Christian Boyd, defensive tackle, here are the numbers. 6'2", 317 pounds, so an interior defensive lineman, big guy. Played both 1 tech and 3 tech for Northern Iowa. They are not a D1 team. They're an FCS team. Spent 5 years in college at Northern Iowa, redshirted his first year, 3.5 sacks last year, so more of a run stopper type, 42 tackles. He had a big Shrine Bowl this year, not the East-West Shrine game. Now it's called the Shrine Bowl. And he fits kind of, he's a Liam McNeil type, but 317 pounds, probably a little bit wider than Liam McNeil, at least this year. So Christian Boyd with a K is your first visit. Lions are also going to talk to that kid, the CFL cornerback, among others. And we'll be hearing about more of these types of players. But look, the Lions need to put somebody next to Liam McNeil next year along the defensive line. Josh Paschal, in small doses, has played pretty well. All right. Do I think he's a starter and an every down guy next to Aleem? I'm not so sure. Levi Onwuzurike is always hurt. Definitely had a better year this year, but not reliable. Broderick Martin, we barely saw him play. All right. John Kaminsky also could play a little bit inside and outside, had a disappointing year this year. So when you're talking about, any of these types of players, a guy like Boyd, 6'2", 317, can stop the run, get inside, and can wreak havoc along the interior. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I've broken down Northern Iowa tape, but this is a guy that spent, played all 4 years, 5 years in college, if you count the redshirt year, and good run stopper, 3.5 sacks, really good football player. And the Lions are looking for help along the defensive line. Remember Matthew Betts from the BC Lions of the CFL? That's another guy with some flexibility along the defensive line that the Lions have signed. They are looking to upgrade along the interior of that defensive line. And at edge, we know the two Okwars and Charles Harris certainly will not be back. Lions need to be better there. And keep your eye on Christian Boyd, who is in town today visiting with the Lions. All right, that'll do it for our Wednesday edition of Locked On Lions, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out, again, wherever you get your podcasts. And please, if you have not yet, subscribe to our Locked On Lions YouTube channel and check us out each and every day. We are back again tomorrow with another episode of Locked On Lions.